Hey everyone, Raptor Rising here. Welcome to today's video. We are going to be talking about the PIMAX 57 PPD model today. The 57 PPD model differs from the 50 PPD model, which you have seen in previous recordings of mine, in that it has a narrower field of view at 106 degrees versus the 50 PPD's 127 degrees. And the reason there is because the 57 PPD has 57 pixels per degree, which is what PPD stands for, versus the PIMAX CRYSTAL SUPER 50 PPD, which has 50 pixels per degree. So the trade-off there is a wider field of view, less pixels per degree, versus this headset here, which obviously has more pixels per degree, but a slightly narrower field of view. As you watch the video today, just take note of the clarity. As always, PIMAX delivers excellent clarity in all of their virtual reality headsets, but the CRYSTAL SUPER is on another level. Legibility from every angle, every corner of my eye, I can make out every single gauge in the aircraft, and that is huge for a flight sim, and especially a combat flight simulator, where you don't really have a lot of time to make decisions. Therefore, I think we got ourselves a very strong winner here. Let's take a look at what the units look like side by side, and then we'll hop into some gameplay. Okay, so here we have the PIMAX CRYSTAL SUPER 50 PPD. This is the headset I've been using to make most of my VR videos as of recently, and you can see here in the lens it's nice and wide, and that'll play into what the differences are between the 50 and the 57 PPD. So let's take a look at the 57. Alright, so here is the 57 PPD. You can look there and see a much smaller field of view through there. Otherwise, they are very, very similar, as one would expect. Here's a side by side, and you can really see the difference between the lenses there. That's 50, and that is 57. I do have to say I really like how PIMAX modeled the modularity of the CRYSTAL SUPER. Putting these guys in is an absolute breeze. It's actually kind of cool. Okay, let's do a behind the lens.
Fire left. Engine fire left. Engine fire right. Engine fire right. Taking in fire. Taking in fire. Lead air left. Lead air left. Lead air right. Lead air right.
All right, here we are in a cold and dark Marine Corps Hornet, and just taking a look around the cockpit here. I don't know if it's going to show in my video, but comparing this headset to the 50 PPD model, there is a noticeable difference in the field of view. The 50 PPD has a much wider field of view than the 57 PPD. And I think what that translates into is slightly more detail in the 57 PPD, but you're missing out on the field of view. And I'm kind of torn because I think as a flight simmer, I like having the wider field of view. This is definitely more narrow. Like right now, both of my eyes can barely see past the canopy bow. And I feel like in the 50 PPD model, I can see quite nicely past the canopy bows. So there is some difference there for sure. From my perspective, the 50 PPD model offers better advantages for flight simming, especially a combat flight simulator like DCS. Being able to see more with your eyes without having to crank your head is a big deal. You know, the 57 PPD model doesn't give you that. I don't think it's a bad thing per se, but I do like having the extra field of view. I think I prefer it actually. The legibility with the 57 PPD is absolutely insane. The clarity is really good. I'm able to pick out all sorts of details in the cockpit that look really, really crisp. So there's definitely some huge advantages here as well. I do think that the Super 50 PPD model probably gives you about the same clarity, maybe a little bit less, but it's still very, very good. I think this headset would serve a flight sim like Microsoft Flight Simulator really, really well, whereas I would still prefer the Super 50 PPD for DCS. So that's kind of a tough call, right? Because you have the two different models. Obviously, they're not cheap. Which one do you pick? Well, I guess what it comes down to, in my opinion, is which sim do you play more? What do you see yourself doing more? That kind of is how I would factor that. Between the two headsets, the field of view is really the biggest difference. They offer the same resolution, they have the same software, they really don't differ that much. The 50 model has 50 pixels per degree versus the 57 model, which has 57 pixels per degree. And so the 50 PPD model has a wider field of view but less pixels per degree, and the 57 model has a narrower field of view but more pixels per degree. And so I think the nuance there is which one of these two headsets fits your playstyle and what your expectations are for your sim. For me personally, I think that means that I prefer the 50 PPD model because I like the wider field of view. I think that's a much bigger advantage when it comes to combat flight simming, especially when you're dogfighting and things like that. The clarity is great on both headsets, and I don't think you can go wrong either way, really. They offer very strong resolution, probably best in the industry, and just top-notch visuals all around. Like I said, ultimately it comes down to, do you want some more pixels per degree, a little bit more eye candy in your narrower field of view, or do you want the wider field of view that you're basically sacrificing being able to see more for slightly less visual clarity? And honestly, I don't think it's that big of a difference. I would rather just have the wider field of view. My money is on the 50 PPD model, but I'll let you be the judge of that. So I'll leave it here with you guys where we started off, the Kandahar ramp. Let you guys decide which one you think you would prefer, the 50 PPD or the 57 PPD. Like I said, for me, my money's on the 50. I prefer the wider field of view, especially in a beautiful, clean bubble canopy like in this jet here. But do keep in mind, there are some interesting sales coming up, especially with Black Friday right around the corner. So do take advantage of that. You can see more information on that at the end of the video. If you guys all really enjoyed this comparison of the 50 versus 57 PPD models of the PIMAX CRYSTAL SUPER, and I will see you guys next time. This has been Raptorizing. Raptor out. If you're interested in PIMAX virtual reality headsets, be sure to head over to their site, linked in the description below, to take a look at the Crystal Lite and Crystal Super. The Crystal Lite is the ultimate entry-level VR headset. Excellent resolution, great pixel count, awesome clarity. The Crystal Super takes your VR experience to the next level, upping the pixel count and giving a wider field of view, all in a lighter, more comfortable package. Be sure to use code RAPTOR for additional discounts, and if you take advantage of the upgrade, make sure you select YouTube Raptor Rising to get an extra gift. Thanks for watching, everyone.